The Kind of Funny Thanksgiving Weekend Shirt Stravaganza is happening this Thursday, November 24th through Monday, November 28th. You can go to kindoffunny.com/store and get a whole bunch of shirts that are only available this weekend. We're talking Vita Island. We're talking Super Porty. We're talking The Year Dismissed. There's a whole bunch of Colin shirts. It's going to be a good time. You should get one. Get one for you. Get one for your friends. It's going to be good. Anyway, Kind of Funny Shirt Stravaganza. I just like saying that word.
Hey everybody, it's me, Greg Miller. Did you know the holidays are coming up? That's right. Christmas, Kwanzaa, Groundhog Day, they're all right around the corner. And if you need the perfect gift, let me tell you about Movement Watches. We get it! Holiday shopping can be tough, but thanks to Movement Watches, all that gift-giving anxiety can disappear with the press of a button. These watches make the perfect purchase for just about anyone in your life, guy or girl, and remember, they start at only $95. You've heard me, that's right, me, Greg Miller, talk about Movement Watches before, and I'll tell you why. Because they sent us a whole bunch of them. I got this cool black one with a red face. Kevin, you seen this watch I'm wearing sometimes?
I have.
I only wear it with the suits because I want to look very, very nice.
That's my same policy with my watch.
Exactly, because I look like a schlub every other day. But when I want to step it up and say, impress the in-laws, I wear the watch. Now, you might say, Greg, you're not married, but you understand what I'm driving at. Jen's got parents. God damn it. Can you just keep up with the references I'm making, ladies and gentlemen? Movement watches start at just $95. At department stores, you'd be looking at $400 to $500. So it's simple. Get 15% off today with free shipping and free returns by going to movementwatches.com/kinda. Ladies and gentlemen, that's vmtwatches.com/kinda. This watch has a really clean design. Seriously, Kevin's been getting compliments left and right about it. Now's the time to step up your watch game. mvmtwatches.com/kinda. Watch what happens next. That's not they don't have a tagline. I made that up.
You can stop now.
Is that a good one?
No.
Oh God, they do have a tagline. Join the movement.
Oh, and I like it.
Yeah,
too.
I like that one too. Nick,
Thanks.
Yes.
what do you got?
I watched
The bar's high now, bitch.
Oh. Okay. I watched a really fascinating documentary on Netflix called Raiders with an exclamation mark.
Correct me if I'm wrong. This was like a product of Alamo Drafthouse. I feel like was
Yeah,
every time I went to
so-
Alamo Drafthouse, they were running things saying like this is a real thing that we did.
The details. Apparently, Harry Knowles from Ain't It Cool,
Any cool news? Yeah.
and Eli Roth from
Everything.
apparently discovered this tape of these kids, now adults, who over the span of basically their entire life have been shooting a shot-for-shot remake of Raiders of the Lost Ark.
Fuck yes.
Now, it sounds completely absurd because it is. And when you watch it, they did things like light themselves on fire with gasoline and almost burn the house down a couple times, actually, because they had to reshoot that scene because they were kids and they left the letter on the camera. Remember when you used to do that?
Oh, that shit. I
When
hate
like
that
you
crap.
didn't realize that the A was getting constantly burned in. So they ended up reshooting like half of it. And the whole documentary follows them as they're trying to do the only shot they couldn't do when they were kids, which was the iconic airplane sequence where the airplane's kind of turning and he's fighting the big guy and like getting knocked down and all that stuff. And then it blows up. So I just think that's fascinating. And it got me thinking, I'm like, it reminded me of the other shot-for-shot remakes that the internet have done. Obviously, there's famously My RoboCop remake, which has some of the funniest fucking...
Everyone go. Do it! We're at IGN watching this video, and like you see me laugh on this show and how you know what it's like when I'm wheezing and doubling over and I can't breathe.
It's the best.
I am there wheezing and doubling over, which only brings more people, and all these people come around to see all these penises get blown off.
I remember I was like, I can't watch this.
I thought it was literally that night. Turned off the lights. I'm sleeping next to my ex-girlfriend, and like it's been 5 minutes of silence, and I'm just like, and she's like, "What?" And I'm like, "I gotta show you this video. I forgot about this video."
It was so disturbing. Like I remember you showing it to me, and I'm like,
identifying master rapist. And it's one cut through it. Oh my God.
That was a good day.
So why? I mean, my first question about the Raider: why didn't they do the superior film Temple of Doom? Was my first question.
Wait a second.
The second-
Hold on.
We all know the best
No
one is the
way.
Kingdom of the Crystal Skull. Knowledge was their treasure. Whoa!
The space within spaces. No, to answer your questions, because they started doing it literally after they saw.
I know.
it
I'm
as
just
Lost
trying
Ark
to
when they were
annoy
kids.
people.
It's fascinating though. There's a certain spirit that goes along with this. That at first you're like, this is stupid because you're not gonna make any money off of this. And then of course it got picked up by like Harry Knowles and Eli the Roth and the founder of Alamo Drafthouse. I guess they did. I might get these details wrong, but I guess they did a movie marathon, like a film festival marathon, where you would sit there for like 24 hours and watch films and eat and have fun. And the guy was like, Eli Roth's like, you gotta see this. This is hilarious. Like, this is awesome. It's these kids, and you literally see them growing up, but they shot it out of order. So like sometimes they're like in their teens, and sometimes they're like 10 years old.
That's awesome.
And then sometimes like, and then the last scene, obviously they're adults with kids, so they're like 40.
Fat.
Wow.
Yeah, I mean, literally, they gained weight and like they look different.
I mean, this puts Boyhood to shame in terms of how many years they're trying to remake this.
It's pretty crazy. It's pretty crazy. So I mean, so you go from sort of looking at this film and thinking that's an absurd concept because you can't make any money off of that. At least that's how I thought about it. To wow, this is something that like is really meaningful because these guys. They split up. They hated each other. One had a drug problem. They moved to LA. It didn't work out. One went to the video games and all this stuff happened. And then finally,
video games.
This moment in their life happens where they go, we want to shoot the final scene in this thing. And so now you can actually buy the version with the final scene. And I think it has, I don't know if it has the official blessing of Spielberg, but I guess they met him and he was like, guys, I saw your movie. I'm like, this really inspired me. Like, you guys inspired me, which is probably the highest compliment anyone could ever get.
Can we be in your next movie? Fuck no, get out of here.
No, get out of here.
There needs to be a movie about this movie.
It is one of those.
Aside from this documentary, there needs to be like a real, like, we get some actors in there.
I mean, it's
Chris Evans.
I think you'd like this. I think you and Kevin would like this because they literally have to figure out how to build the boulder. You know?
Oh, that's awesome.
And it starts off with instead of
Tin
a boulder.
foil.
No, it's they found like some sort of spool, like a cable spool or something like that. That's just this thick cylinder of metal that's like following the fucking kid down, and it almost kills him. And they finally, figure out how to make the boulder.
Well, the thing about this though is that unlike a lot of the other things similar to this, it's not shitty. Right? Like, they were trying to actually do it correctly. Like, it's not a joke to be like, it's a tinfoil ball.
No, it's
like
not like
the RoboCop thing. Like,
Be Kind,
some of the
Rewind.
scenes were great, but yeah, exactly. Be Kind, Rewind. That's the right way to put it. What?
You're gonna talk shit about some of them RoboCop scenes.
No, some of them were awesome.
The RoboCop thing was a mixed bag of like, it was either the highest.
We're gonna go
production value
crazy, or we're gonna
or
make it
people that are
stupid.
like, we're
Like
trying to
the
be funny
one
with
where
it.
it's all the women pretending to be men and they all have mustaches. Are they drinking milk too? It's the best. Everyone go watch my RoboCop remake.
So our RoboCop remake, I think.
My apologies.
Is if you haven't seen it, there is some fucking gold in this.
There's like the one where the RoboCop can't get back in the car because his costume's too big.
can't actually sit in the car.
There's a word for it when you make something
Masterpiece.
shitty. Like, you take something and you remake it shot for shot in a shitty way.
You shit it
Parody?
out.
No. There's like a specific
Poop shoot.
Don't know.
Swede. That's what it is.
Swede.
It's Swede.
Oh, yes. Like, Be Kind, Rewind. Thank you, Kevin.
Yeah. Okay. Cool. I guess that's what that is.
Yes. That movie was terrible, by the way.
No, I enjoyed that movie.
No, it was bad.
I had
it was
fun.
bad.
Did you see Me, Earl, and the Dying Girl?
I did not.
That movie was phenomenal.
I've heard that's
and it's a
very
very
good.
similar concept.
Be Kind, Rewind straight up jacked the Amanda Show. Did anybody here watch the Amanda Show? There's
Amanda
somebody out
Bynes?
there- Yeah.
Wasn't
Amanda
that
Bynes.
all that?
All that
It spun out
off
eventually,
into
yeah.
the
Oh,
Amanda
I
Show
missed
and-
that.
But there was a segment on that where it was the plot of Be Kind, Rewind, where it was just like these like weird foreign people and they would remake movies at their blockbuster is what it was, and then they would rent out the movies and it was like always like horrible like versions of Titanic and shit.
That's kind of fun though.
That is fun. But I mean, so I guess I just wanted to talk about that a little bit. Like, have you guys ever thought about doing that? I obviously when I saw our RoboCop remake, I wanted to be a part of it, but it was well done and
Here's what I'll tell you.
yeah.
Have I thought about making a shot-for-shot remake? No, I have not. No. Have I thought about making the definitive edition of a movie? Yes, I have.
Oh, what's
In
that?
high school, me and my friends were very serious because, as you know, we backyard wrestled.
You did.
So we had an understanding of camera recorders. I knew about, I'd make video projects for school. So
Can I
knew,
guess the movie before you say it?
You sure can. And I think I might have talked. I've talked about
feel
this
like-
before.
I feel like I know what
But
it
I'll let you guess it, and then I'll fill you in. But I knew, like back in the day, Tim doesn't understand. Tim doesn't know what it's like to be old like
I don't
us.
know
He doesn't. My hips
But you
hurt.
understand that, like back in the day, I had to have like 2 VCRs, and I was like hot
Tape to
swapping.
tape, baby.
Yeah, I'm pulling RCA cables out, I'm shoving them in the back, I'm doing all this stuff, and there's still like a pfft of like when I'm making a scene cut and
Yeah,
certain
there's always
things.
something terrible.
The movie we wanted to make was
Varsity Blues.
Varsity Blues. That's right. We loved a little
Yes.
flick called Varsity Blues.
a great
What was
movie.
your part?
No. Please. It was
wait,
more
you're
than
not
that.
in
It
it?
was more than
Okay.
that.
Moxon.
What we want? No. Because again, the movie Varsity Blues,
Stick to the basics.
perfection.
Sure.
Varsity Blues, one of those coming of age movies everybody could get behind.
Sure.
You love it.
Whipped cream bikini.
Exactly.
Oh my god!
Out
When I
of
saw
shaving
that, I was
cream.
like, "What?"
Exactly,
I was like,
exactly,
what?
exactly.
I was like in 11th
That's
grade
the
or
only
something.
way
Let the
Great.
washing machine do the work, she says, while Paul Walker fucks her on the washing machine. But then, of course, Billy Bob comes in and pukes up a whole bunch of hot dogs in there, calling some dinosaurs. Had never heard that before. I'm getting off track. The thing about Varsity Blues is that we loved Varsity Blues so much, Tim, that we would constantly then go into the extras of the DVD. Because again, you don't understand this. You're young and hip, and you've been downloading things. You're the
What's a DVD?
You're the hacker from Watch Dogs. I don't even know you. Back in the day, you'd buy a DVD, you wanted to see it all. You're listening to commentaries, going to extras, doing this. We would watch the trailer for the movie we just watched for the 30th time. And inside the Varsity Blues trailers are scenes that never show up, right? Because, of course, Mox has his girlfriend, Jules. She's put on this pedestal. She's up here, right? She's a stand-up girl. She's not the whipped cream. Apparently, she tested so poorly in audiences, I assume, because no one's written the definitive history of Varsity Blues. Will I one day?
Blake Harris should do it.
Perhaps I should.
Yes.
You should get
Blake Harris
to
would
do
be
it.
great.
And so I assume they cut out of test audiences that this scene where she says sex and football. Thank God I like sex. And she's sitting on a tree. I'll never forget this. Because clearly they just fucked on a tree. And of course I would have liked to have seen this scene. But it doesn't exist in the movie. So we were like, that's a red herring. There's more to this Varsity Blues than anyone ever knew. Because now Suicide Squad comes out, terrible fucking movie. We're gonna get a definitive edition for some reason with 30 more minutes. It's like, what the fuck are we doing? When there's somewhere there are reams of footage for Varsity Blues. Reams of it.
Yeah.
That are because you want to know the other thing? Moxon's father, Tim. Is Johnny Mox's father a good character?
Yes.
No, he is an asshole to his son the entire time. He drinks too much, and we're like, this guy sucks. What happened to him? There is a scene in Varsity Blues
dies.
where he is sitting there watching the practice with his bros. And they're like, oh, your son's getting the shit kicked out of him by Kilmer or whatever, right? And he gets up, crushes his beer, I believe. It's been a while since I've seen Varsity Blues. Tosses down and goes, I stood up to him. He will too. And I'm like, where is the redemption of Mr. Moxon? Clearly, he's going through the same thing Jonathan's going through. At some point, we need the flashback of a young Kilmer yelling at a young Mr. Moxon, and Mr. Moxon telling him to shove the football up his ass. I'm gonna go be a shitty fucking dad the rest of my life. Where is it, Tim? And we wanted to put it in. Did we have the budget? No, we did not. Did we have the blue football jerseys? Yes, we did. St. Francis football jerseys were blue. We were on the precipice of this, but it turned out we were very lazy, and I regret this to this day.
We can still do it.
You can still do
Now
it.
I have nice cameras and Nick Scarpino. We should do this.
I'll help you remake or redo or add the missing scenes to Varsity Blues. And we can stitch it together just so that it just.
This is why you and I are besties. Pound it out, bro.
I swear to God that you've told this story on the show before.
I've never heard
but
of it.
it's so ridiculous that as you were telling it, I was just like, this is still crazy.
Yeah.
And I appreciate you as a person.
Everyone tonight, go home. Your homework is to go watch Varsity Blues and then watch the trailer and think about everything I've said.
Look at all the
Then I want a
differences.
fan fiction for now. What happens? What's the next chapter?
Oh my
Of them
God.
Now.
Oh my God.
Varsity
Are you
Twos.
kidding me?
It was like
Varsity Twos. You made it perfect. Are you kidding me? God damn it, Tim.
I mean, I was gonna say it reminds me of what we always dreamed about, which was American Pie 4 until we got
Yep.
it.
And then we got it. It was perfect. It
It
was
was.
perfect.
You know what? It fucking was.
It
perfect.
was. It was good.
It was really good.
All those movies
Tara
were
Reid,
good.
who I was in love with, just
Now,
absolutely in love with.
and I'm sure
Still pretty good.
you and I have a movie idea we're working
Still
on.
pretty
We're
good.
workshopping. We're
We
kicking
are.
around. The next project we need to do is Varsity Twos, because the plot writes itself. And this is gonna sound morbid. Stick with me, Tim.
Oh, God.
Paul Walker has passed away in real life.
Yeah.
It's true.
At the end of Varsity Blues, it is said that his character found his true calling to coach high school football
Oh, they said to be a
for the Coyotes.
car driver.
Huh? No. Tim, can you please not try to make everything the Fast and Furious universe?
Same universe.
So the thing writes itself that John Moxon gets a phone call. He's passed away. He's got to come back. He's got to come back and make it. John Moxon, it failed marriage. Didn't work out. Jules never left West Canaan, Texas.
Okay.
So now he comes back. They strike it back up. Are we going to get James Caan's son? What's his name?
I think
Scott Conn?
Scott
Are we going to
Conn.
get Scott Caan's character? Tweeter. That was it. Before Twitter. Tweeter.
Damn.
Who just walk around fucking girls in police cars, taking police cars? Are we get him this fucking picture?
Yeah, definitely.
You're goddamn right we are.
2016, huh?
Hang up. What now?
2016. These are different.
Well, no, he couldn't do that part of it. Don't remember. He should be the chief of police. Fuck, this movie writes itself.
What are we bringing
My
back?
topic next week is Varsity 2s and how my fucking
done.
my
I
outline.
will- I will watch
I think
this
it's your
week.
topic right now.
I will watch Varsity Blues 2s. Varsity Blues before next week, and that's what we'll do.
If they're not
I'll
into
outline it.
doing it, you and I should just do our own thing. We watch it together, then we turn on the cameras and we pitch the
I'm
movie.
down. I'm
I'd
totally
like
down
to
for
play
that. I love
Johnny's
that.
little sister. Is that possible?
Well, he didn't have his little sister. He had a little brother, remember, who was going to be in a cult.
You know.
If you want to
We
turn
can
it on
change
its
it.
head.
We
Retroactively.
can turn it on its head.
Call
Or-
that retconning, Greg.
Or no, we don't have to retcon.
Greg,
we
they
can just
call it
we can
retconning.
make it very 2016. The little boy who's searching for an identity is transgender. And this isn't a joke. I'm not making
we
fun of
go.
the situation at all. I'm saying we can bring in current social themes. How does that play in Texas? Because it would stick with it that he was an outcast in Varsity Blues. In Varsity 2s, same thing. Different angle, of course.
Yes. Yes.
That might
We
be
got a movie
Amy
here, guys.
Smart, Allie Larder.
Oh, Allie Larder was another one I loved.
Allie Larder.
Oh,
she was the one in the bikini,
fantastic.
right? She was one.
She
with
was
me.
the
She was
whipped
whipped
cream
cream bikini.
Right.
Also,
She was no Tara Reid, but Allie Larder was definitely up there.
I gotta be so.
But she-
They're both equal in my eyes as awesome.
Well, Tara Reid had the trash factor that when you're a 14, 15, 16-year-old, that
Like,
really
she's not like
kind of
she
really
smoked
goes
400 cigarettes that day alone.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So here's what I want to say about this particular topic.
Sure.
The idea of
Varsity 2s or fan films?
the fan films.
My
Greg,
apologies.
is it goes back to what we talked about with like people making fan games and stuff like that. I'm like, why? Like the idea that like Pokemon Uranium, I think is that game or whatever. And I'm like, you're gonna get your asses shut down the second you release this. And why are you even putting your energy into this? This isn't even your universe. You don't own this. You didn't make this. And my whole thing is like, I want to write a Mega Man game really badly.
Yeah.
I'm dead serious about it. I think I can write a great Mega Man game and it'll be fucking
Just write
awesome.
it.
And I'll write it and it'll be great and it'll sell millions of copies. But I don't want to rewrite Mega Man 2. I want to use the themes from Mega Man 2 and Mega Man 3 to make a unique and new game. It goes back to like, why is Blade Runner getting a fucking remake? Why did they go back and do all these things where like
That is
it
a
was
sequel technically though.
Yes.
Oh, okay.
Okay, so that just to clarify.
Okay, that's fair. So why is any other remake ever getting made? That
Right.
happens 17,000 times.
'Cause
and
Hollywood's
I for some
completely
reason
devoid of
selected
ideas.
Blade Runner.
Except
Now-
Varsity 2s.
I'm concerned about this because this goes back to what I think is there's a void of new ideas in arts, right? And I'm concerned about it because everyone like kind of looks and says like, well, Star Wars is so good, and it is that we're gonna they're gonna run that into the fucking ground.
Yeah.
We all know it's gonna
Clearly.
happen. We all know it's gonna happen.
Has to.
It's going to happen, and we're going to be sad about it at some point and be like, well.
But
wasn't
can
it
you
quite-
ever be more sad than you were for the prequels?
Yes, because
Good question.
it's going to happen, right?
Yeah, but
the
until
prequels,
it
like,
does, just enjoy it while it lasts.
Yeah, it's a beautiful ride.
My argument would be just to this one thing, and because I have no attachment to Star Wars, right? Couldn't this just be the Marvel film universe? Where the Marvel universe isn't run to the ground. Sure, there's Marvel films you walk out of and you're like, well, that was totally whatever.
I don't want to get too into this because I really do refuse to believe that at some point this universe is going to collapse in on itself too, right?
It hasn't
It
yet. though,
hasn't
yeah.
yet.
And it was supposed to 6 movies ago.
But when I see this Doctor Strange, I don't know who the fuck this
Doctor
person
Strange
is.
was a really good one.
I heard that.
Yeah.
That. Do I believe it?
Have you
No,
seen it?
not even a little.
Does
bit.
Colin Moriarty ever believe the facts presented to him? No.
No, not typically. So it's one of those things where I feel like I'm just concerned that there aren't new and better ideas. And we were talking about Black Mirror before the show began, and I was like, this show in the 6 episodes has presented 6 actually totally unique ideas for entire series or entire movies.
Sure.
And they showed incredible, for the most part, incredible restraint and being like, wouldn't this be interesting? Okay, it's over. You know, like,
Yeah.
and I like that kind of thing where I'm like, like restraint is something we don't see very often in the arts anymore because now it's like, well, how can I run this fucking thing into the ground, or how many times can we remake this thing?
But
now Indiana Jones is coming back. We're getting a Star Wars movie where they have to fucking use Han and Lando. We're getting all. I'm like, come on, guys, like. aren't there new ideas? And so I think it goes all the way back to this particular thing where why don't we get inspired by what we like?
Well, here's my thing.
And then use that to create something new.
You're talking about Black Mirror, which I've watched is great. No, I haven't watched nearly as much as you have.
It's
now.
not great. It's fucking perfect. By the way, that's the thing where I'm like, why didn't anyone just tell me that? You know?
Oh, it's real simple. A lot of times people present their opinion to you and you tell them, no, that's dumb. I don't like that.
No one was talking to me
And
about
you
Black
haven't
Mirror.
even, in my opinion, you have not even gotten.
Kevin yelling off camera.
Colin, you need to watch this.
What were you saying?
I'm saying I don't even think you've gotten to the best parts of Black Mirror.
No, I haven't.
There's
I mean,
a
well,
lot
apparently I
of
have.
greatness to come.
I'm excited.
Because
But
I
even
know
Black
that
Mirror, to
you're-
your own thing, isn't Black Mirror just Twilight Zone?
Well, that was the thing. So, but the thing is that that's fine because Twilight Zone. I mean, I love Twilight Zone. This movie's gave me a very, very kind gift, by the way, a Twilight Zone compendium, a guide for each episode, which I appreciate very much. Thank you. Twilight Zone was very important to me as a kid. As a writer and a reader and in the sci-fi and all these things, like that show is phenomenal, stands up to this day and is better than virtually everything that's come since in terms of storytelling. And to see Black Mirror, I heard people talking about Black Mirror where they're like, it's kind of like this British thing and it's kind of like Twilight Zone, all these things. No, it is Twilight Zone, and no one stopped and said that to me, or I would have actually watched it earlier. But, and that was the thing where I like, well, that's fine because Twilight Zone wasn't about anything.
Yes.
It was just stories.
Yeah,
they were
yeah,
all different. And actually, that's my only problem with Black Mirror is that they're all thematically the same. And that's not what Twilight Zone was. So I'm waiting for one to switch it up a little bit where it's like, oh, technology's run amok. Look.
Sure.
Like, yeah, I get it, guys. Like, and the stories are great. But they're on a pound for pound level, that show is pretty much perfect. And I can't believe how good it is. But that showed me, I'm like, wow, there's in the 6 episodes I watched, there are 6 unique ideas. You know, for something more. And in 2 of those episodes, they ruined it by going too far and ruining the ending. But which just happens in Twilight Zone too. But I like that where it's like with the presentation of new things and new ideas and new stories. And there's an infinite amount of things we can talk about and discuss. And so I get really distressed when we go back.
Well,
constantly
this is
the well.
back to the idea of first off, you know, last week's topic of China in the movies, right? They want.
I wasn't here. I didn't
They
see it.
want a proven successor. Well, you watch all the shows.
No.
No? Okay,
Nope.
great. And then the other one, of course, video games, right? That a video game with a number at the end of it sells better than the original.
Sure.
That's the thing we run into.
Except for
right?
Titanfall.
Now, you're not really big on. I'm kind of surprised that you
That's
don't like
the
indie
best
films.
shot you've taken in a long time.
I'm sorry, what'd you say? I missed
I
it.
said I'm kind of surprised that you aren't really into indie films because those are original ideas. And this year is actually probably one of the best years for indie films. Sing Street, Green Room, there's some great stuff coming out that you probably don't even know about because it's not presented to you through the media.
And that's the
form
biggest
you'd see.
problem. Is that I like indie films as well, right? And I should say I like indie films like you do, right? But in the similar vein of Colin, it's just like I'm not so into them that I have a source telling me about them. Whereas so many of our fans are like, "Oh, I never would have given Overcooked a chance if you didn't talk about it or whatever X, Y, and Z."
Right.
It's the fact that they listen to us and we are tastemakers and they're listening. But I'm not listening to movie podcasts, and that's what I always struggle with.
On Netflix right now in the United States is Sing Street. Unfortunately, I didn't know that last week when I rented it, but it is an amazing movie and it has a ton of original songs, and it's just about this boy who likes this girl, and he says, "Hey, you want to be in my music video?" And she says yes, and then he goes, "I got to form a band now."
Oh, I saw that.
And it's so good, and it's so
awesome.
heartfelt.
Yes, I did see it. It's British, isn't it?
It is.
Yeah. Yeah.
Or,
it's,
or out of Ireland,
Irish.
maybe.
I
Oh,
caught
my
a
shillelagh.
little bit of it on my plane ride back from Morocco, and I'm like, I gotta watch this movie, and I totally forgot the name of it until just now. Thank you for that.
There you go.
I gotta go watch that.
And Varsity Blues.
Anything from A24, that
Usually
studio,
gets
Right?
studio.
that
They
up.
do want, and
They've
what
got
is
good
their
stuff.
what is their connection?
They're a distributor.
What is their connection? It's
To-
just it's a woman that has a lot of money and it was like, I want to make movies.
No, that's great, but I mean the
Kind of
fact that I feel like
that.
every time we go to Kabuki I'm sorry, anytime I go to Alamo, it's all A24 films. Are they just like the biggest
They're just
independent?
kind of the
Actually,
new
not
one
that-
on the scene
yeah,
that
they're new.
is making.
But for indies, I mean, I guess.
Yeah, they go out, they go to festivals, they work with artists. I think the newest one they have right now is Moonlight, and I think that was them and Plan B, which I think is Brad Pitt's company.
Right.
or his quote unquote company. It's run by other people, but he is the face of it. And they did
Don't
12 years
spit
a slave.
in the face
Selma.
of Brad Pitt.
I would never.
Who almost graduated from the University of Missouri.
Well,
one credit
he made
short.
that
Won't
choice.
come back for it. Please come back, Brad. We need you more than ever.
But yeah, no, they're just tremendously good at finding really talented people and really talented like scripts and projects basically, and putting. I think they're actually doing production now. I think I heard that correctly over last week. They've just announced they're going to start getting more into production instead of just distribution.
They do so much great
which
stuff.
is cool.
Yeah. I'm on the other end of the fan film thing. I personally love fan films, but I also think, and not to rehash this shit, but I think that now we're getting more new ideas than ever because everyone can do whatever the hell they want. But with that comes some of my favorite fan film creators are Corridor Digital, and they put out a video that is this super unique original thing. Doesn't get as many views as, oh, here's a Master Chief fan film, you know? So it's like it goes back to the money talks, view talks, and it is what it is. But from fan films, I mean, that I do what I do because of fan films, and whether or not they're full films or series or whatever, like Ismahawk's, what's it called? Nightwing. The series. Fantastic. You know, like that's the type of thing that is like, that is obviously made by people that love and care about the IP and are expanding on it in a way. And I think that's where we're really fortunate now is we have a group of people that are skilled enough to produce things and know the content better than some of the content creators.
Yeah.
Care about it in a way where for them, it isn't necessarily about making money. It's about telling the story of these characters, some of them more obscure than others.
And that's for me, to jump off of Ismahawk and Danny and everything they do, right? Of course, they found me at VidCon that time, and that's how the whole relationship started, and getting them on Up at Noon to talk about Nightwing. But when I went to their channel and went back into their catalog and saw the time Danny made some video talking into a webcam and put on a Green Lantern ring and then like turned around and like hit him with a fist, and it was like, oh, fuck, you get it.
Yep.
You're good. And also we're here because as a DC Comics fan who for his entire life, who's seen every Superman, every Justice League, every Wonder Woman, everything, every movie though, even before we even got to Green Lantern, every idea that was put on into Wizard magazine fail. I remember when YouTube came around, I'm like, fuck, finally. And you start looking into, what Superboy fan films are there? And you're like, oh, these are all awful. Like, these are so bad.
And it's just like anything, where it's just like there's only a handful of amazing things. There's a lot of trash, but we did a kind of funny reacts to this last year. But the Star Wars TIE Fighter anime short made by
amazing.
Otaku King, that's one of the greatest Star Wars things to ever be made. The attention to detail, the love into that craft and stuff, and because it's made by somebody that grew up caring and understanding what the franchise means and why it's so special to him and adapting that. And of course, there's the amount of like Star Wars is the number one offender when it comes to bad fan films.
And
right?
don't get me wrong, I'm not saying fuck these people. Great that you tried, but it's not what I'm looking for. And I always think back of our first introduction to Al White. When I brought in that Spider-Man thing.
Spider-Man
Eclipse.
Yeah.
And I remember when he hit me up trying to get it on Start at the time or help, get promoted at the time. And it was like this thing of like, all right, what is it? He's like, it's a Spider-Man film as if Spider-Man really existed. And it is a guy putting on like a knit
Shitty
Spider-Man,
ass
a
costume.
totally
But
shitty
that's the
Spider-Man
purpose,
outfit. And
though.
you're like, fuck, this is a great idea. Because that was always my problem with like the Tobey Maguire Spider-Man, and how they've done it so great in the new Marvel MCU, right? Of the fact of like, how did he go from not being able to afford a car to this fucking awesome suit that's like molded to his body?
Yeah, man, and with him too, he was the guy that made the Why the Last Man short, right?
No, those are. I think that was
that a different group?
Yeah.
Well, that was awesome as well. Like there was a lot of fan films that were made in the last 5 years or so, and those people are now making real shit. I mean, I gotta mention the Zelda trailer that IGN made for April Fools. Granted, it's just a trailer, but it's really dated and not.
It doesn't hold up now, but back then.
2008, that was like, holy goddamn shit, this is amazing. And it just opens your mind to what could be. And it's like, Zelda movie probably would be really bad, honestly. But that trailer gave you the hope that it would be awesome. And there's been so many fan films. Again, if you haven't seen that Star Wars thing, I highly recommend that. But
recently the Ari Shankar
oh my God,
Power Rangers fan
Adi
film.
Shankar,
Adi, excuse me, not Ari.
the Power Rangers. That's
was
going to be better
amazing.
than any
Amazing.
Power Rangers things that will ever happen.
Yeah, I mean, for me, that's the thing. I'm split. I'm with Colin as well, where it's like it does seem like it's a lot of time put into something that's not necessarily going to net you out positive, right? And you're going to get people's adoration. There's going to be a lot of fans that like you, but it's not something that necessarily has that immediate sort of payoff, right? Like oftentimes I think a lot of people, a lot of young creators will make something and go, this is going to get me, discovered, or I'm going to be able to sell this idea or whatever. But the problem is if you're already working with someone else's IP, you can't really do anything with that. Like Danny did a great Nightwing series, but that's not. And it's possible. It's always a slight possibility that someone might look at that and go, "Oh my God, this guy's great. Let's make a Nightwing series." But more often than not, I think it's not going to necessarily be one-to-one payoff.
But that's the point, right? Is the fact that the reason it's a fan film and not a film is the fact that you're not making it. Like, I don't want to make the Varsity Blues thing, or back in the day, we didn't want to make the Varsity Blues thing to show at a festival. We wanted it because we thought it'd be fun because we really loved this project and we wanted to be a part of it and make it better.
And I think that when you have the skill and talent, though, and you're right, it's definitely not a guaranteed thing. Anybody doing it for that reason is like anybody that's making a Pokemon Uranium to get a job at Nintendo, like they're kidding themselves. It could happen, and like and that's the thing is, it's like it's not like it's out of the question. And that guess what? That it actually is a good way to get noticed and to
it's worked before.
It's a resume builder, right? When you made something that people have heard of and know.
Well, Raven, the studio that works on Call of Duty now, was created making Doom mods.
And I mean, the
Quake
mod
mods,
games,
actually.
the Miss Pac-Man story, the Counter-Strike story, like there's obvious success there. So it's like, again, we say this so many times. People ask, how do we get in the industry? Do stuff. And I think that making fan films, doing stuff that people are familiar with, is a little bit easier, and it also can show that you have an understanding of how to do something. I think that the perfect example for me is Red versus Blue with Halo, which is just a fan series in a really, really weird way.
Sure.
Now you don't really look at it because now it's officially licensed by 343 back in the day, Bungie. But it's like, but that's how that worked. Is that was so good that they were able to have that conversation, be like, yo, we're going to license your game to make this content that at this point has nothing to do with Halo. It's just the first 5 seasons were just garbage dick jokes. But then from 6 to 14, it's this amazing story of people that really give a fuck about what they're doing.
And that's why it works, and that's what
great.
fan films are. And, I always talk about it where when that inevitable question comes up of like, if you won $1 billion, you had all this money and da-da-da, what would you do, right? And I always say, well, I'd give a bunch to Mizzou, right? But then the other thing I'd want to do is cut a Kingdom Come movie trailer. And I would get John Hamm to be Superman, and I would have all these other things happening, and then the final section would be the panel where Superman comes in to the Batcave. And it's just John Hamm with his arms crossed and a nice medium wide. I think I'm using that right. Because I just want it from here to here. And it would be, it is like...
Medium close.
Medium close? Thank you. I don't know. Yeah. He comes in, and as he's coming in, Batman says the whole thing about like... but it's wide. Batman says the whole thing about, blah, 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 dark side or whatever. And it's a medium close of John Hamm in his Kingdom Come outfit, and he's like, I don't have that dark side. And then the final shot is cut in close to Michael Keaton in the fucking neck brace and all that shit at the Bat computer going, tell that to your tailor. And like, that would be fucking dope, but I need to be friends with John Hamm and Michael Keaton.
I think John Hamm's friends with
Well, if
money.
you have the money, yeah.
John Hamm is friends with the University of Missouri where
That's
he
true.
graduated and is in the commercial that was 2 years ago that he should bring back anytime now because we really need you too, John Hamm.
Now, if I had the money for doing some sort of fan sort of film thing, here's what I would do. Here's what I've proposed before.
Go for it.
It's not a complete film, but what I want to do is a shot-for-shot remake of Maniac. And this is from Flashdance, for those that don't know.
Ah, I see.
And Jennifer Beals had a body double for Flashdance. And so I would want to be her part, and I would want my body double to be Greg Miller.
Oh, that's fantastic.
This we could make happen.
I will do that for free.
This sounds reasonable.
Yes!
All we need
Speaking
is a
of shot-for-shot remakes, I want to give a shout-out to you because you did shot-for-shot remake like pictures.
still pictures, yeah.
I did.
Of like just
Very
iconic
iconic,
scenes
yeah.
and stuff from 80s movies, and those are super awesome. One of them is going to be the thumbnail for this
Oh,
episode,
sweet.
So that's fantastic.
I did Weird Science. Kelly LeBrock when she is like in the doorway. And I wasn't originally going to do that one. So how this came about, little story. Let me take you on a little journey.
Take us on a ride.
I had tweeted out a picture of Fast Times at Ridgemont High, and I wanted to do I just said, I wish I could remake this image, but I think I'm 7 years too late. And then I got all these responses, of course, because, I have mainly male followers. They were like, you should still do it. You should still do it.
Yo, you ain't too late to it.
And I was like, maybe I will do it. So I was like, all right, if that image gets 100 likes, I'll do it. I should have said 1,000.
Which image was it from Fast Times at Ridgemont
It's
High?
her coming out of the pool.
What do you think it is?
So
Her fucking hot dog on a stick? Come on, Nick.
There are some other images that no, I would not be doing from that movie. And so it did. And then I was like, all right, now I need to get a personal trainer, and then I'll schedule. Like, I really,
wow,
I got
you went
like,
all out for this.
Oh, I spent a lot of money to like
so
get
much.
this done.
Good.
And I did it a few months later. I had like a professional photographer professional videographer. You can watch the video on my YouTube channel, which is Hit or Miss Movies.
Which we said in topic 1.
It'll just be there, like when you go onto the page and at the top. And what else did I have? I had like 2 makeup girls, 2 hairstylists. It was a big thing, but I wasn't going to do weird. I was just going to do that one image. And then Andre Meadows said, you should do this Gremlins image.
Oh, you mean Black Nerd?
Yes. And I said, all right, for you, Andre, I'll do it. And then someone else said, you should do weird science. And I was like, I don't know.
What Gremlins image did you do?
It was a promo shot from like maybe Gremlins 2, I want to say, because it was different.
The new batch?
Yeah. But it was just a promo shot. And it was one that he liked. She's just standing holding Gizmo.
Oh, so it's just Phoebe Cates.
Right.
Gotcha.
A lot of Phoebe Gates in there.
So I did, Weird Science.
And Fast Times.
Gremlins, 2 from Fast Times. And the one that I actually was basing it all off of, I hated that image the most out of all of them. So I don't show that one as much. It's still on my Instagram.
The Fast Time?
Yes.
Fast Times? What's your Instagram?
I just didn't like the way that it's Miss Underscore Movies. Nick Scarpino.
I'm sorry.
No, it's like
It just didn't come out right. Like my hair didn't look right, and I'm very much a perfectionist. So I just was like, I don't know. So
see, I get that though. I get I get why people do it. I don't want to disparage anyone that's out there trying to be creative in that world, because I understand loving a world so much that you want to play around in it. I did do it, and so I didn't want it to come off.
What
like
does that mean?
Harry Potter's. The
orators.
Right. So I didn't want it to come off like I'm, bashing anyone that makes fan films. I understand. I just think there's 2 like schools of thought on it, and I respect people from both sides, because you wanting to get exposure is obviously great, and then also just doing something for a pure passion project is always it's fantastic as well. So I didn't want people to think I was shitting on them. But yeah. But like that's fun, right? That's just fun. That's a fun homage to the
I'm gonna
things
do
that you
another
love.
one.
What are you
gonna
do?
I'm gonna do 90s. So I'm gonna do the Sandlot.
Sandlot. Yes.
So
Do real Ghostbusters when Janine was a Ghostbuster.
I'm also going to be doing Basic Instinct.
Oh my god.
And the third one is Pretty Woman. So there you go.
Man.
Great.
90s.
Oh man.
Yeah, I mean, I agree with you where it's like, do what you want, right?
Sure.
I just, and we've all paid homage to things we love and stuff like that, but my theory is that if you're creative enough to do something like this, and it takes a lot of creative energy and a lot of creative, thought to do something like this, and you come to the fork in the road, I say like go down the road where you can use the inspiration you get from what you would otherwise ape and make something new with it inspired, right? Like, the Mega Man thing I was talking about before, like the Mega Man story I have in mind, it would be unrecognizable, right? Like I would just call it Rockman, and it would be based loosely on 2 and 3, but that's basically it, And so because like I've thought about this IP for so long that I have this own vision of what I think it should be, and it should be exactly what it's not. It should be way darker. It should be fucking violent and gritty and over the top and open world. Every fan film, right? So taking something that's bubbly and based on Astro Boy and shit like that, and turning it into something that is, an open world game where Mega Man is just demolishing these motherfuckers, Rockman. And I like that, and so it's kind of a path, that third path down the middle, but I also wonder, like, well, what ideas do I have a ton of ideas for things that I want to write and all those kinds of things, and I'd rather do those, spend the energy thinking about those than just playing around in someone else's sandbox, because to be fair, like that sandbox exists, someone else created it. If I created a great IP and I saw someone, making something really high production based on my IP, I'd be like, that's pretty cool, but that's mine. You're not gonna play around in it. Like I don't care how good it is. Like I made
Sure,
that.
but you understand that like you also have an audience already where you could do something original and find it. Whereas for like a Danny, and I'm not speaking for Danny, I haven't talked to Danny.
I've never seen any of Danny's stuff until the thing you guys were in, so I'm not.
Oh, wow.
I'm not talking about him either.
No. Not at all. I'm saying that he and all these other people on YouTube go and make something where it's like Nightwing is searchable, Batman is searchable, this is searchable, and people will find that, think it's great, and follow it so that when they do their original content, when they do want to have a voice, or they get picked up by a studio to go make stuff, because that has happened, right, Tim?
Absolutely.
YouTube creators that have been eyed by a Hollywood studio to come make a movie.
Absolutely. Yeah. It's funny, the whole Mega Man thing, too, because there was a Mega Man fan film that was one of the first video game fan feature films that were made ever, and that was probably early 2008, I think it happened. And then they followed up with a Sonic movie using the actual voice actor for Sonic. That was
I remember But not Roger Craig Smith, right?
No.
You're talking about Urkel.
Urkel. Old school Sonic.
Just like Scott Wiener did. Did Scott Wiener win? I don't even know.
Yeah.
All right, good for him.
He beat Jin Kim.
Anyways, the Mega Man movie, I remember seeing trailers for it, and it was one of those things where I was so hyped for it because I was like, man, someone's doing this. Like, they're actually doing this right. And Mega Man's a franchise that I am very committed to from a aesthetics level, but not from a game level. You are the number one Mega Man guy, obviously, but like, even for me, I'm a fan of it. So when I watched the trailer, I was like, man, this is gonna be awesome. And I remember watching the movie and being like, ooh, that's wrong. And it's like, that's the flip side negative to the fan films is like when you get the things wrong, you just get destroyed for it. And like granted, then now I look back at it, I'm like, man, I was so hard on these guys that we're doing something that nowadays is kind of par for the course. But back then they made a feature film of a dude in a Mega Man costume. Like, and all the Robot Masters were there. And it's like they really went all out and did something with this. But all I did was tear it down.
Was it Mega Man 1?
It wasn't quite right.
What was it called?
Mega Man.
Just Mega Man? It's on YouTube? Or no?
Yeah, it must be on YouTube. It was on Screw Attack exclusively.
Oh, wow,
in the
okay.
beginning.
I vaguely remember
Stuttering
it
Chris.
because Wiley's in it, right? I think I remember
The trailer had Wiley
Right.
and Roll and
Yeah, I think I vaguely remember seeing
this
that.
up.
I think I didn't watch it for
But I can
reasons
imagine.
that you're talking about.
But I was way younger than you, and I was into video production. So to me,
Right.
I was like, this is fucking awesome. You know, like it was the same thing with the Zelda movie
Sure.
trailer. It was something to aspire to. You know,
To your point, I think it's an interesting point to be made, though, when I talk about my vision for Rockman or a new game that I think Capcom Vancouver is more than capable of making based on my.
I thought they were.
Yeah,
I
me
was
too.
wrong.
Maybe they still are, and I will write
better
your fucking
fucking be.
game. I swear to God, I do it. The thing is that I want people to watch it or play it in my mind and be like, it's all wrong. I mean, because that's the fucking idea.
Well, that's
like it's already been done this way, and so it'd be all wrong. But all the touchstones will still be there, and you'll get it in the end.
That's the power of like
good.
what Telltale is doing with the Batman. Where literally I'm in this game that's choice based, and episode 1's very by the books Batman, and in the end it's like what? And then every episode afterwards, I am making choices that I think are, well, this is Batman. Oh fuck, no, they're going a different direction. I shouldn't have done that. Fuck. That's awesome and that's cool and that's what I want to see people when they get into the shot for shot remake. Like there's been so many fans who do Ghostbusters shot for shot remakes. And it's like I get that that's cool, but I'd rather have somebody get into the sandbox and play around with it and do something different, but not make them all female. I'm just kidding. That wasn't the problem with that. That movie was just bad in general. Kate McKinnon was really good.
I'm going to give a quick shout out to a documentary that Kevin recommended for me also on Netflix, kind of along the same lines. It's called I Am Your Father. And it is about a guy, it's about David Prowse who played Darth Vader and how he never got to see his face.
Be Darth Vader.
And it's fascinating because the filmmaker who is the documentarian on this actually goes as far to get a crew together to reshoot that scene with him in it. And so which is not in the actual
From
movie.
Jedi?
Yeah, from Return of the Jedi. So it's actually like the last.
That's really cool.
One of the
That's
last
really
shots
cool.
you see is them like putting like the makeup on him, and they put the helmet on him. And they have to walk him out to set because you can't really see in the hat and the mask. And then they like lay him down like in one
How
more
old
pillow.
is he? Roughly.
He's got to be in his 70s, 80s,
Okay.
something like that.
wow, that's like a lot less intimidating than Darth Vader walking. Is some
Right.
70-year-old man being walked out and he can't see in a mask.
He's still big.
I mean, for the record, Darth Vader was never that intimidating. Cash is a blaster.
He's like one of the top
wanders
10
around,
villains.
Has one of the slowest fucking sword fights of all time
You're
on
saying
film.
He didn't need to fight. He was dealing with people that were not. That's why he was surprised in
They weren't on
Jedi.
his level.
He didn't even have to try. He was fighting Luke with one hand in Empire.
What about when he really awkwardly picks up the fucking Emperor and throws him in there? Why the Emperor, who's
I
fucking
don't want,
throwing?
You can't. Okay. Sorry.
Where is Watto? Where is the Watto film, Gary Whitta?